Greetings everyone, this is Char and welcome to the Just Ask Char advice channel. If you have an email for advice, you can send it to justaskchar@gmail.com. Today we have a letter from a young lady and I'll get right on into it. She writes, "Dear Char, my little sister needed a car and no one would co-sign for her. My mother said no before she even heard my sister's plans. The other family members said no to her as well. She is trying, and I just came home for the 4th of July holiday, and my little sister was working a part-time job, and she had just dropped out of college this year. Because she has student loans and a little work history, she needed a co-signer. I trusted my sister. She is working, so no big deal. It's September and my sister is already late on one of her car payments. I found out about this, or at least my husband found out about it first and told me. I called her and she said the car needed some work, she ran out of money, and the money she had left was for other things. The car was only for $5,000, so I didn't think much of it. Is there any way to get her to pay the car on time, since it's very important? And I don't want my husband to get upset with me anymore about this. He was really upset when I came home and told him. Thank you so much for your letter." Well, your husband is upset with you because you mentioned that it's only $5,000. However, this is not a solo project. It affects his credit as well because it affects his home. You all are a couple, husband and wife, and anything that you do outside of the home affects him, just as if he was to do anything outside of the home would affect you. You mentioned that you went to visit the family in July for the holiday, so that's the 1st of July. She purchased a car and she had a car note in August. And then there was a car note in September. And you've mentioned that she was late for that and you were alerted. This may be the reason why your mother didn't want to hear any of her plans, because after all, your sister lives there in the household still with her mom, so she knows her habits. Because you're not in the home anymore and your sister is, your mother gets to see her every day and see how she spends her money, and of course on what. That is a number one reason why a lot of people don't lend money to people, because they watch what their spending habits are. But even more so, co-signing is pretty much just giving your credit away. I'm sure your husband is very upset with you because you did not consult him. You just went on to co-sign, and now that's affecting the family, or can affect the family. This is just the beginning. I don't know how many car notes, probably a 3-year loan maybe, for this $5,000 car. But however long it is, this is just car note number 2 out of a possible 36, or at least 24. So she has a lot more time ahead of her than she has behind. So do be prepared to be able to pay for that car out of your pocket. Make sure it does not affect your family. Now, of course, it will affect your family because it's a separate household, but if you need to get a second job and it doesn't take a whole lot of time away from your home, I don't know if you have children or not, but you're going to have to be prepared because you may be paying for this car. And you want to be prepared to make sure that your credit stay intact. Unfortunately, you have taken responsibility for that car. Your sister mentioned that she had to get the car fixed. Purchasing a car that may be an older car, yes, it will need some work eventually. Normally, when the seasons change, that battery is one of the first things that need to be replaced. And batteries aren't $50 like they used to be. Used to go to Sears, get one of those diehards, $49.95, and keep on rolling. But nowadays, the batteries cost a lot more. And then tires. Once you get to rolling, the tires need to be changed, and normally all 4 of them. So there's a lot more repairs, I'm sure, in your sister's future when it comes down to this car. Always remember to never co-sign for anyone. If you don't have the money to help them out, just forget it, because you're pretty much signing over your money anyway, and you don't even know it. There were some red flags in this letter that stated it was not a good idea to co-sign for this car. You mentioned that your sister dropped out of college earlier this year and she's working part-time. Not sure why she's just working part-time, but if she's at home, she's working part-time, that means she doesn't have a lot of money. And there are things that a young lady will need, and that is part-time money. There's no money left over for a car note. Hopefully your parents are asking for her to pay for something, rent, light, gas, telephone, something. And not only that, every young person wants a cell phone. And they don't go for the pay-as-you-go. They go for the contracts because they want the latest and greatest phone. I hope this will be a lesson for you in the future. Do not co-sign for anyone. And that's all I have for the letter. Thank you everyone for tuning in to JustAskChar. And again, if you have an email for advice, just send it to JustAskChar@gmail.com. And who knows, your letter may be the next letter that I read. And until the next letter, peace.